Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Life on the Wrist. Hope you guys are doing well today. Pretty shocked. I'm taking it all in. Omega and Swatch have released a new piece that they collaborated on called the MoonSwatch. And they were teasing this sort of throughout the last couple of weeks, and they've finally released these pieces. So kind of insane. I think the watch world has really has really run with it. It's super exciting for a lot of folks. There's also some other comments where people are a little bit against it, but I thought I would give you my thoughts on this. I'll go through the release, the watches that were released, give you my opinions on it, and I think what the reception for these pieces have been. If you are looking for a video where someone goes in depth and has these watches in their possession to show you them in the metal, this is not the video for you, but I'm going to be putting up videos and pictures over this video so that you can see these watches as I talk through it. So I hope you stick around for my thoughts. So Omega and Swatch have been teasing some sort of collaboration over the last couple of weeks. They did things like they had advertisements in the New York Times where I think the taglines were "It's time to change your Swatch" or "It's time to change your Omega." And so there was a lot of sort of anticipation that was built through these advertisements because Omega and Swatch are really in different sectors of the watch world, from a price point perspective, from a watchmaking perspective. So it's quite cool that they both came together and decided to create a watch, or multiple watches together. And so yesterday it was finally publicly released. There was I believe a secret release 1 week ago where these were released to certain people, but the public release of these watches was yesterday. And what they essentially released was a Omega Speedmaster that had been modified ever so slightly to be a little bit more like a Swatch. And what they did was they called this the MoonSwatch. And so there were 11 pieces that were released, and each of the 11 are basically different colorways, and they are correspond with specific planetary objects. So they're all kind of called mission to a certain place. So it's like mission to Mercury, mission to the moon, mission to Mars, and there's some more. I'll go through each of them just a little bit later in this video. So you've got all of your 11 mission watches, and if you look at the pieces, what's really cool about them is they're 42mm cases. The case is not made in stainless steel like the original Omega Speedmaster. It's a mix of 2/3 ceramic and 1/3 bio-derived plastic using the seeds of castor oil, which is really cool. So you've got a really interesting sort of case metal that I think is not something that when you think Swatch, it's like that's not the main thing that you think of. So you do have quite a cool case metal. They've taken their time with sort of the design of this case. They have a lot of the different beveled edges on the piece that mimic the original Omega Speedmaster. So there is a lot of thought that's gone into this piece to make it as closely to make it resemble as closely to the original Omega Speedmaster. Instead of running on a mechanical movement, the MoonSwatches run on a quartz movement, which is typical for certain swatches. Some other minor details: if you look at the crown of this piece, there's actually a really cool Omega logo, then a times S, so Omega and Swatch sort of collaboration. So a really cool use of a crown, which typically shows what brand it is. They did it with the collaboration, which I think is really cool. So just to go over the different ones, we have the Mission to Mars. This one has a red case with a white dial, white bezel, and then you have the typical white subdials with red accents on the hands for the top two subdials, and then Omega and Swatch, and it comes on a white sort of Velcro strap. Then there's the mission to Earth. What's really cool about that one is if you turn it over, there's actually a planet on the back of it. That is the Earth. They do it for all of them. The mission to Earth is a sort of like a light green case with a blue bezel, blue dial, white subdials with a red chronograph hand coming on a blue strap. Then there's the mission to Venus. Venus is a pink case with a pink and white bezel and sort of like an off-white, I'll call it a cream dial with cream subdials. What's really cool is there's actually some detailing around the subdials for Venus, so that's really nice. Then there's the mission to the Sun. This is a yellow case with a white bezel, yellow dial, and white subdials with a white strap. Then there's the mission to Jupiter. Mission to Jupiter has this sort of like light earthy brown case with similar color on the bezel and the dial with orange accents on the subdial hands and the chronograph hand. It has this black Velcro strap. Then there's the mission to Mercury. This one is really beautiful, probably as close to something like a Dark Side of the Moon that you'll get. A dark gray case with a black bezel, black dial with a little bit of a light gray on it as well. And then luminous hands, which is really cool, similar color strap. Then there's the mission to Uranus. It's a light blue case with a white bezel, blue dial, and then white accents on the subdials. There's the mission to Saturn, which I think has the coolest subdial. It's again that sort of earthy brown case with a brown bezel, earthy brown dial, and then if you look at the subdial at 6 o'clock, it actually has an image of Mercury, or excuse me, of Saturn at the bottom. So I think that's a cool use of a subdial to make it a little bit more interesting. So that one's really cool. There's the mission to Neptune, a little bit of a ocean blue case, dark blue bezel, darker blue bezel with a darker blue dial, black strap. Then there's the mission to Pluto. Pluto has this sort of like almost off-white case with a red bezel, red subdials, and sort of like a really light yellow dial, which I think is really beautiful. And then there's obviously going to be mission to the Moon, which is as faithful as it can be to the Omega Speedmaster. You have like a stainless steel colored case with a black bezel, black dial, 3 subdials. That looks basically identical to an Omega Speedmaster. So you have all of these different pieces, and what's really incredible is each of these pieces cost 260, I think it's 250 Swiss francs, so about 260 US dollars. So 11 pieces, 260 francs to get yourself something that was created by Swatch and Omega. These are not produced in a limited edition quantity. They are going to be available in multiple colors. I know there's a lot on Instagram saying like you gotta find a Swatch store to get one of these pieces. They're actually not limited edition. They are going to be available in the stores at first, and then they will eventually be available online. So I think the idea is to get some foot traffic and hype around these pieces so that can happen. So I've gone over basically everything. They're going to be available on March 26th, which is going to be that Saturday in all of the Swatch stores is just going to be absolutely insane. I think certain places have only been allocated a certain amount at this time, so they're probably going to go very quickly. So I think there's a lot of things to really discuss on this. There's the idea that, okay, this is a really cool collaboration that, you know, Swatch is doing with Omega. It sort of democratizes the Speedmaster in a way. It allows it to be a little bit more accessible to more people, but also gives has sort of allowed Omega to say, let me do this and be a little bit more playful with the Omega Speedmaster design, and do things that maybe I wouldn't do with just an Omega piece of an Omega Speedmaster. So I think there's a lot of pros that come from this. You have more people interested in the Speedmaster. Hopefully that might lead to them thinking about, oh, okay, so this is actually coming from the Omega Speedmaster. Is that a watch that I might be interested in purchasing later in my life when I sort of learn about watches, or maybe can eventually afford to get an Omega Speedmaster. So I think it's quite an interesting journey that someone could take by buying an Omega buying a MoonSwatch and then moving into Omega and learning about the brand. And I think that might actually also bring some more of the younger collectors along who might be interested in buying a watch for $260 and then learning about watchmaking going forward. But there's an argument, and it's a completely valid argument, that says, why is Omega taking something that's super iconic and creating something that's very, very similar for $260? It's almost diminishing the brand and the line of the Speedmaster and the heritage that it brings, which I think is a completely valid argument. Some folks think that it just diminishes the brand by doing so, and it's kind of like Omega's looking down at those who cannot afford the Omega Speedmaster. So I can see both ways. I think what's really cool about this is Omega has taken the step in trying to do something cool with the Omega Speedmaster and allowing for more people to enjoy this really iconic design that they have. They took a lot of time and attention into making this piece as equivalent to the Omega Speedmaster as possible. They even have the S engraved in the crystal of the watch, which is something that I don't think many brands would take the time to do for a watch that's 250 Swiss francs. Or retailing for 250 Swiss francs. Even the elements on the bezel, they've got the dot over 9. Like there's so many different elements that they've decided to incorporate into this so that people who want to buy this piece can do so. If you're an Omega Speedmaster collector, I don't see why you wouldn't buy all 11 of these MoonSwatches. It just makes sense to show the breadth of your collecting abilities as a Speedmaster enthusiast, so I can totally see someone doing that. But those are my thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think about the MoonSwatch. Let me know in the comments section below what your thoughts are on this piece. These pieces, it's an incredible release for Omega and Swatch. Congratulations both Omega and Swatch on this really great accomplishment. If this is setting the tone for the watches that are going to be released this year, I can't imagine what Watches and Wonders is going to be. So very excited for that. Again, congratulations Omega and Swatch. If you are new to Life on the Wrist, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you like these types of videos. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button for us, it really does help us out with our YouTube analytics. And with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time.